I walk by faith and not by sight. All power and authority is given unto me. 'Cause when you're on God's side, oh, we win, we win. Overcomers, yeah, we win. Nothing can stop us now. Oh, 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 yeah. Hey, we win, you declare. We proclaim the victory, yeah. Overcomers, we win, yeah. Nothing can stop us now. We win. Oh. We know in God there's no spirit of fear. We'll never feel defeat because He's here. The race is not given to the swift, neither the battle to the strong, but he that endureth to the end. We win. Woo! Come on, come on. We win, say. We win. We win, yeah. We win, yeah. Every area of the life. Yeah, we win. Overcomers. In our schools, on our job. Nothing can stop us now. In our marriage, in our finances. We are, yeah. More than a conqueror. We dominate. We have the victory. Yeah. We
Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome back to In the End, We Win with Curtis. My name is Curtis Austin, and I'll be your host for the next hour. I'd like to say welcome once again to the show. I pray that you guys had a great week from last week, from the last time that we were together. This week, I can assure you again that we're going to have a great time here on the show. Before we get into it, let me just take care of a couple of items. We are still having a coat drive. You can bring your gently used or your brand new coats to the studio here at 4711 Off Place. That's in Camp Springs, Maryland. Drop your coats off. We will be wrapping that up on the 25th, however, of February. So we've got just a few more days left before that ends. As well, VoxWave.com has an app that you can download. Right now, it's just for Android users, which is myself. So go Android. Next, we're going to hear a word from our sponsor. So we'll see you on the other side.
And other imports starting at $5,988. For fast online guaranteed credit approvals, go to starimports.com. That's STARRIMPORTS.com. Or call 301-423-8000. Star Imports, home of the boutique-style car buying experience. Located in Camp Springs, Maryland, off exit 7B off the Beltway, next to Red Lobster.
Hello? Girl, I just went to a major dealership and got ripped off on a luxury car.
Well, I just got a great deal on a luxury car at Star Imports in Camp Springs, Maryland. They took their time with me, they treated me with respect, and they helped me find my perfect car.
Hey, DMV, looking for a unique car buying experience? Tired of high-pressure sales? Good news. At Star Imports, you'll be delighted with our boutique-style car buying experience. We're committed to treating you with the utmost respect, even if you have less than perfect credit. Check out our impressive selection of pre-owned BMWs, Mercedes-Benz, Lexus, Jaguars, and other Imports starting at $5,988. For fast online guaranteed credit approvals, go to starimports.com. That's StarRimports.com. Or call 301-423-8000. Star Imports, home of the boutique-style car buying experience. Located in Camp Springs, Maryland, off exit 7B off the Beltway, next to Red Lobster.
All right. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So once again, my name is Curtis, and thank you for tuning in to the show. Tonight, in reference to Black History Month, I'd like to just point out that this day, 1941, I believe it is, 1942, as a matter of fact, the Tuskegee Airmen were actually initiated into the military, which gave them the okay to fly in World War II. So this day in 1942, February 19, 1942, the Tuskegee Airmen were initiated into the service, which allowed them to fly in World War II. So that being said, let me introduce my friend and our guest for the evening, and we're going to be talking a little bit, maybe a somber topic. However, I think it's very important, especially since we've just, gotten through the holidays. Tonight, we're going to be talking about coping with loss and how to deal with the pain, how to just manage when you're confronted with those moments that you're feeling down, or especially as it's known around the holidays, millions of people, from what I understand, have obviously lost family members and folks who are close to them, and generally around the holidays is when it gets really tough for them. So our guest tonight is someone who can speak directly to that topic, that issue. Let me introduce to you Minister Marcia Washington. Hey, Marcia, how are you?
Hey, Curtis. Thank you. First, I would like to thank you for inviting me on your show with Curtis We Win, Winning with Curtis. So I really want to thank you for this platform to share this topic.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I appreciate you for coming on board. The general concept of the show, Marcia, as you know, because I know you tune in,
yes,
is really just to provide positive content for everyone that tunes in. It's not so much about me. I just believe that there is so much going on inside of our communities that people just aren't aware of.
Absolutely.
We have individuals such as yourself who are doing fantastic things that individuals can take something from, can receive something from.
Yes.
I don't see very many platforms out there, though, that brings folks like yourself to the masses.
Yeah.
So this platform for me came about, and now I just want to be a blessing to everyone, talking about topics that are relative to the majority of people, and this is one.
Yes.
So that being said, and I know a little bit about you.
Yes.
But I'd like for you to talk to the viewers about how you got into speaking about loss and what prompted you to take it to that next level, not just dealing with it, but then talking to friends, and when people call you, they're asking for, how are you doing it? And you told me a story the other day. Someone approached you and said, are you really that happy?
Yes.
And later on we can get into that. But just tell everybody how you actually got into it. Give us a little bit of background on what transpired in your life.
Well, in my life, I had, Curtis say loss, but I say transition. That's a word that I use because when you lose something, you don't know where they are, or you don't know where they're gone. But because I know where my husband and my mother and other family members have gone, I say they transition. So this platform has been set for me because I had my husband and my mother both transition in a short period of time, kind of close together, and they both lived with me. Of course, I know my husband lived with me, but my mom lived with me also. And so I retired in 2014. And how many of you know when you retire, you're looking at, wow, I'm going to enjoy my life with my husband, and me, my husband, and my mom, we're going to travel and all of this. And unbeknownst to me, that my mother was going to transition. I retired March 31st, 2014, and my mother transitioned May 25th, 2014.
Oh, wow.
And some people don't know this, that's even in our circle, but we buried our mom on June the 2nd. And then on June the 9th, 2014, my husband laid out on the floor. No motor skills or nothing. I was like, whoa, wait a minute, God, what is going on? I just retired, my mom transitioned, and now my husband and the doctor saying that he's on borrowed time. And I'm like, no, this can't be happening. And so, you know, I prayed and I asked God, I was like, look, you're going to have to give me some time. I need me some time to digest all of this. And so my husband, he lived for 2 more years, and June 26, 2016, he transitioned. So in that, I mean, 2 people that's very dear to me that I loved and took care of, you know, transition and close together. And so in that, I had to learn how to go and now live life, because now what was a norm is now a new norm for me.
Right.
And in that, people will get stuck, you know, and stay there, but I knew I couldn't stay there. I knew I had to live on, because see, what happens is when some loved ones transition, what happened with people, they're breathing, but they're dead.
So what happens to the survivor is the survivor is breathing,
but they're dead.
But they're dead.
They're no longer living life.
Why you say that?
Because they're stuck where they were with that loved one. That loved one is gone. And now you have to go on. You have to make a decision that you're going to go on and live your life. Live out the legacy. If you don't know anything else, and let me put this disclaimer in here. I'm not here to talk about why somebody died. I'm not here for that. What I am here for to tell you, you can go on after they transition.
Oh, that's good.
Because a lot of people want you to explain, well, why this happened? I can't tell you why it happened. Did I expect for my mother and my husband both to be gone after I'm retired when you want to go and travel and do things?
Right.
You know, no, I didn't expect that. I didn't even plan for that. We had planned that we were going to travel and see the world.
Right.
But things change. And so when life happens, you're going to have life events that you have no control over.
Sure.
You know, but in those, you have to make a decision what you're going to do. And so when I say people, they are walking around living dead.
So were either of those instances sudden, or were they things that, you know, and you know, this is a very tough subject, and I definitely don't want to be insensitive.
Oh, absolutely.
And I've already learned transition versus loss. Right?
Yes.
but was there a build up to the transitioning? For instance, in your mom?
Well, with both of them had health issues.
Okay.
Our mom, my sister here. That's why I keep saying our mom. But my mom and my husband.
Sure.
Now, we didn't expect for them to go, and my mom. She, you know, she was fine. We were talking, preparing for, because I was having a big party that year. And so we were preparing for that, but she would always tell us that she was tired.
Oh, wow.
She would tell us that consistently. And we would be like, oh, Ma. But then after a while, we start listening to her. You know, when she would tell us certain things, we would listen. But we didn't expect it to be soon like that.
Okay.
So it was unexpected.
So there was no serious issue that she was dealing with, nothing that had her bedridden or nothing that had her bound or in. Okay, so she was mobile.
She was mobile,
active,
doing everything. She was there in the house, and I was in a bed sleep, and I heard someone say, Marcia. So I'm thinking it's somebody calling me, and I would jump up, and I'm listening, and my sister, she's in the shower getting ready for work, And then I look at my husband because he's in the bed and he's fine. So I get up and I go in the room and my mother laying in the bed and I knew something was wrong. And so she's like, stiff and everything.
Oh, wow.
And so we knew something was wrong.
Right.
And so we called the ambulance and everything, and they came, and within that week, she transitioned.
Wow. So how do you prepare for that mentally, losing your mom? And I'll say, my grandmother is currently 97, and we have recently, actually within the last 2 to 3 years, we've moved her out of her home into a facility.
Yes.
And she's being challenged in her mind right now with what they call early stages of dementia. But we believe that she's just it's just the age setting in, right?
Yes.
She has her moments because she still talks great. She's still healthy. She's still slick with the tongue. But how does someone deal with the idea and the thought that they're about to lose their mom? And I know in your situation, you guys didn't know, but for someone out there who may be nursing their parent, is there something?
Well, since you said that, I can switch now to my husband, because my husband, he was on hospice. And so with him, I had to nurture him. I was his caregiver. And so I had to take care of him, knowing what the end was going to be. Because again, it was a decision that he had made, that he said, when I'm tired, let me go.
Oh, wow.
And so for me, I had to build myself up to that, because it's a process. We all love our loved ones and we want them here with us. But then when you're looking at what they're going through, you can't be selfish, because you're holding them there for your own purpose or what you want. But then when you look at where they are, you have to let them go.
Wow.
And so even though it's a hard thing to do, but that's when that love comes in. When you have to love them more than you love yourself.
That's an interesting point, because you said you have to not be selfish.
You can't be selfish.
And hear their wish.
Yes. Because even with my husband, he had said a week before he transitioned, he was like, I'm tired, I'm ready to go. We had already talked about this. You promised me. And it took me a whole week before I could really actually let him go. Because it was hard. I've been with this man for 36 years.
Wow.
I'm not talking about somebody that's beating on me, that's calling me names, that's going out here sleeping with Mary, Jane, and Sue. I'm talking about a husband, a man that was a provider,
That's good.
a man that took care of me.
So that means you guys were intimate. You guys were close. You guys
very
were
close. Very close. And so in that, we discussed all of this.
Sure.
And so when that time came, I became a little selfish, where he had to call and say, go get my sister, go get her, and tell her, talk to her, because she got to let me go.
Oh, okay.
And so it was that serious. And then when I seen that he was slipping, I didn't want it to be where I didn't let him go.
Right.
And he knew. So I had to let him go.
Because I wonder if that would be a form of, not torture is a tough word. If he knows he's ready.
Yes.
And we're trying to medicate our loved one to keep them around, that could be a form of we torturing them, perhaps. Does that?
I wouldn't say the word torture, but look at it like this. If you have someone and they're used to getting up, doing everything on their own, and now they can't do those things, especially a man being the head of the household. And now I can't do these things. I can't function like that. Just imagine what they're feeling.
Right.
And now your wife or someone else have to do all of these things for you.
Wow. So how does someone out there mentally get prepared for a situation?
It's a process. It's a process. Again, I told you I retired in 2014. So I had 2 years. I asked God. I said, God, give me a year to digest all of this. And I went to my sister and I told her, here, this is what the doctor said. This is what's going on. But I asked God to give me a year. I know you don't go against anybody's will, but I'm asking for me. So I can digest this. Give me a year. I had 2 years.
So that's could that be step number one? Making sure that whoever is listening and looking in, making sure that they have a relationship with their God to
absolutely.
To be able to.
Absolutely. Because even going back, I didn't plan on retiring until 2016. That was Marcia's plan. But in 13, they offered a buyout on our job. And so I went to God. I said, do I take this? He said, go for it. I got you. I didn't know that my mother and my husband was going to transition during this time, along with some other family members. Because I listened to God, I was able to go through this process. If I would have stayed at work and did what Marcia wanted to do, I don't believe the outcome would have been the same. So I would always say, have that relationship with God. Because when you have that relationship with God, he's going to always speak to you. He's the all-knowing God. He said he's Alpha and Omega. He's the beginning and the end. He's went from the end to the beginning to carry you through. So if he already know and he tell me he got me, that was my word through this whole process, that God said he got me. So even when it came to releasing my husband, God said, I got you. And so I hear those even to this day because it's still a process. You don't have 36 years with someone and then in 2 years it's gone. No, because you done built so many memories. You done created memories. And so that doesn't go away. And so you have to allow the process to work. And let me say this, because people will put you in a box in this arena. When you have loved ones go on, people will put you in a box and they think you're supposed to be crying. They think you're supposed to be doing this and doing it. You better be who God called you to be during that process. Because it is a process. You're going to have your moments, but don't allow those moments to have you.
You're going to have your moments, but don't allow those moments to have you.
Yeah, because a moment is just a short space in time. That's all it is. But what happens is people take those moments and they stretch them out. And they allow those moments to have them, to overtake them.
And they're belaboring all of that stuff in their
all
mind.
The time.
And that's what's just wearing them down. That depression starts to set in.
Exactly.
And I don't feel like doing this. And
exactly.
oh, woe is me. And
exactly.
all of that. Wow.
Because they stay in that moment and don't move. And then now this thing has overtaken them.
Wow. You mentioned something the other day in preparation for the show. You mentioned a word, and I didn't quite understand how it related. You said you didn't have any regrets.
I have no regrets.
About what, though?
The regrets because of the relationship. Number one, I didn't have no regrets because of the relationship that I have with God. And so through this whole process, even with my mom, with my husband, I always listened. I always listened to what God was telling me to do during the process. And so with my husband, you know, we were together for 36 years. And we had a beautiful marriage and stuff, but it was some things I had to listen to. Even when the doctors told us that he was on borrowed time, we would go to the doctor. We would go from the doctor from once a month to every 2 weeks to every week. We was going up to the doctors. And the doctors would tell me, Miss Washington, we don't even know how he's living, how he's walking because of the numbers. But we know because of who you are, he's still here. And I said, he's still here because he wants to be here. And so even in that, when I say I have no regrets because I was there with them.
Sure.
I took care of them. People thought that I was a nurse when they would come for my mother.
Oh, wow.
Because I would know everything from A to Z. I studied that stuff, knew that stuff, and one of the nurses was like, you need to go be a nurse. No, I'm just a caregiver for this, purpose right here.
Sure.
But in that, because I could have, when the doctors told him that he could have done this or this, and so it was his decision, and he said, I don't want to do that, because what quality of life would I have if I do this?
That's good, right.
And so with that, when I say no regrets, I had to make a decision. Like, what do you mean you can't do this? At least you would live a little longer. But I had to back up, because that's not my body. That's his body. I don't know what he's really feeling on the inside. So I had to respect that and honor him. And I remember one day, this was after he has gone through a year, and I had wrote it down in a note, because I would write notes that I would ask the doctors. So I would see things start changing in his body. And so when we went to the doctor this particular day, and it was in January 28th, 2016, and I told him, I said, he's having a lot of swelling. His muscle mass is deteriorating.
Okay.
And I said, and he needs this and that. And so they told us everything, and they was like, well, it's really nothing else we can do, because the process is starting.
Oh, wow.
And so I said, okay. And so in that, I wrote down on that paper, and I have that paper in a notebook, and on that paper I said, we decide to enjoy life and cherish every memory. And so we didn't look at what we were going through. We looked and cherished every day as if it was the last.
Because I can only imagine that when you're going to those doctors and you're hearing the words that they're saying, the numbers don't look good,
right,
and he's on borrowed time and things like that. There has to be a defense mechanism, that you institute then too, because like, oh man, that's totally contradictory to how we're living in our house.
Exactly. And the thing is, because I'm a woman of faith,
right,
I'll believe God for the impossible.
That's right.
And so for me, I needed him to agree where I was.
Him being your husband.
My husband.
Sure.
But because he didn't, and he made his decision, God is not going to go against anybody's will. God is not going to go against anybody's will. And so if someone's will is to go, then they're going to go. I'm not God. And so even in that, I had to make a decision that I'm going to link up with my husband, and we're going to ride this thing out whenever it may be. When he say he's ready to go, he's ready to go. Because God is not going to go against his will, so how can I?
Wow. So then some people may question just the idea that you, the whole love piece, and truly, if you love him, would you just let him go? Would you because some people say, oh, I can't live without my wife. I can't live without my husband. I can't live without my mom. And here, I guess, is that selfish piece again, where they will do everything that they can to try to keep that individual alive. And then, I guess to that point, was there a will? Because I know in wills, and I did a show not too long ago on wills, and in wills, a person is able to put their wishes.
That was all done.
It was all done.
All of that was done. He filled all that. He said he didn't want to be resuscitated. He didn't want.
So he said it. He just wanted to go. If I get to that point.
And going back to what you're saying, love. I go to God and Jesus. Jesus went to the cross. He took on the sin of the world. God had to turn his back on his only begotten son for him to go to that cross. So who are we that we can sit here and hold somebody when they have their assignment to do?
You win.
That's love.
You win.
That's
okay.
love.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So we have the greatest example before us.
Right.
God himself had to turn his back on his only begotten son for him, because God couldn't look at sin. So he had his son take on the sin of the world. And when he did that, he had to turn his back. What? For an assignment or a purpose. And so even with me, I look at this now as an assignment and a purpose to let people know, I don't care what you go through or what tragedy that comes in your life where you may have a loved one transition, you can get through it.
Right.
If you want to get through it.
If you want to. Okay. So how did your because I know you have a few siblings.
Yes.
How did they deal with the loss of their mom and then their brother-in-law?
Well, with my family, we have majority of our family are believers.
Okay.
And we talked. It was never a time that we didn't talk. Even with my mom, when they called my sister and I and they told us, we need y'all to come up to the hospital. Your mother now is brain dead.
Oh, wow.
And so when we went up to the hospital, we had to make a decision. We didn't make that decision on our own. I told them they got to give us 24 hours. We got to pull the family together. And so all the family met, and we went one by one to the family, and everybody was involved. And they said, because again, my mother told us she was tired. And she told that to everybody. And so because nobody wanted to see her living as a vegetable in a vegetable state or anything like that, we wanted her to be remembered of the quality life that she lived. Everybody was in agreement.
Everybody bought
And
in.
so we went up the next day and we took off everything.
Okay, because I know that often there may be, and you'll hear it. You'll hear it. Obviously, that's a tough time when someone is transitioning. People will say, "Oh, just be strong. You got to be strong at this time." So, was there ever those moments where people were pulling on you to be strong for them, and were you had you experienced that in your family?
Well, with our family, again, I was transparent. Now, they may not have seen me, everyone didn't see me break down. Let me say that.
Okay.
But there were some that did. And those ones that did, they knew how to deal with it. I knew I had to also protect some family members, because if they see me break down, because they was looking at me for the strength, then they would totally lose it. You know what I'm saying? And so in that, I had, I had my moments. I remember I was telling my sister one night, I was in the bed and I just had a moment. And so I didn't want anyone to hear me crying. So I put the pillow up to my face, and I was crying, but I almost suffocated myself.
What?
Because I was crying so hard. And I was like, oh, breathe.
Wow. That's funny.
So
That's funny.
I said, I'll never do that again.
Right. Wow. So that means you were really into it. You were really, you know, balling.
Yeah. And this was like after everything had settled.
So then what I'm hearing then, I guess, is that it is okay.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. But so I guess then, it's not okay to just continue in that, or would you suggest that people get it out, do what you have to do, and then let's go on, because there's still a lot of life left.
Yeah, but it's still a process. It's a process, because you with someone 36 years. That's not going to go away in 2 years. It may not go away in 3-5 years. It's never going to really go away, because that's 36 years of your life.
Right.
That's more than half of my life.
Sure.
And so in that, you have to know the processes that you're going through. Just last month, God started telling me to take down some things. And I was like, you want me to take that down? And he was like, yes, it's time to take it down.
Some of that Dallas Cowboy stuff, I hope.
No. I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan, and my husband was too.
Wow.
But no, it was some things that specifically represent him that I still had up in the house. And so he told me I had to take it down. And that was a process for me.
Wow.
So you're going to each doing it, you got to go through the process, and you got to allow yourself to go through the process. Don't rush it.
Right.
But again, going back to what you're saying, don't grieve either. Don't grieve as if you have no hope.
Right. Now, I know we're coming close to a break time, but real quickly, then, is there a time limit that a person can grieve? Because I know when we have jobs, when, those of us who work, even our employer will try to say, well, this is the maximum time that you can have for grieving of a loved one. But is there a time that people should be able to grieve and then get it all out and then move forward?
I wouldn't put no time on it. It's how you do it.
Okay.
You understand? Because it's a difference in going through the process and you're stuck and you can't move and you can't function versus going through the process. Because I'm going through the process.
Okay.
I'm still going
So you're
through the
still going
process.
through it. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But in that, I'm still
You're
living.
Still living though.
Yes.
Right. And it's not that you've forgotten about either one of them.
Not at all.
You still have
I'll
your
never
moments
forget.
when you still have your moments when you think about him, you think about her, or you go spend some
Absolutely.
quiet time and anniversary times and all of that.
Yes.
So that being said, I think this is a great opportunity. What we're going to do is we're going to take a couple of minute break.
Okay.
And on the other side of the break, we're going to continue the conversation, but we're going to get into what exactly Minister Marcia is doing now to help the community with what she's already expressed. And we're going to touch a little bit more about there was something that she performed at her husband's funeral that I think was the caveat or the kickstarter to what she's doing. So on the other side, we'll get right back into the conversation. So we'll see you in a couple of minutes. Thank you.
Before I even face the fight, not moved by what I see. I walk by faith and not by sight. All power and authority is given unto me. 'Cause when you're on God's side, oh, we win, we win. Overcomers. We win. Nothing can stop us.
everyone. You have tuned in to In the End We Win with Curtis, and my guest for this evening is Minister Marcia Washington, and we are talking about how to cope when a family member has transitioned or is transitioning. And we had a great conversation on the front side of the break, but now we're going to try to wrap everything up with this mission that she's on, if you will, and this call that's on her life now, and see just how she can assist you all. If there's anyone out there who's going through right now, please tune in. If you need to, grab a pen, piece of paper. You can also call into the show and ask questions. The number is 240-719-2560. We encourage you to call in. This is an opportunity for you. And we are here to assist you where we can. So on the front side of the break, Marcia, we were talking about the selfishness of people and
Yes.
how they attempt to keep a loved one around for them.
Yes.
Because they don't want to deal with the heartache or the pain or the whatever. We also touched on just being able to understand that if that's their will, then, you know, God is not going to go against anyone's will. So he's not going to just deliberately keep someone around. And the word, I used torture, but suffering was the word that I was looking for. So I apologize for that. But that's actually that's a tough situation.
It is.
To have a loved one suffer to make sure that you are okay.
Yes.
But what we were talking about on the front side kind of leads us into where we're going on this side of the break. And there was an opportunity for you to get up and speak at your husband's funeral.
Yes.
And unfortunately, I was out of town. I was not able to attend.
Yes.
But I've heard that it was powerful.
Yes.
And what I heard was, though, that you were talking as if, you were speaking as if you weren't going through.
Yes.
And that may have moved people to question,
Yes.
you know, what's really going on? Did she really love him? And obviously, you know, I'm not trying to put that out there,
I know.
but we know people, everybody is not a believer, and people will, you know, start stuff. People will attempt to, you know, reconcile things in their own mind and be way off base. But those were some of the things that I heard. Tell me about that.
Well, I actually did his eulogy. When he transitioned, I had talked to our First Lady, and so she was saying, who do you want to do the eulogy or do the service? And I said, I'm doing it.
Okay, so question. So it's not customary for a loved one or the loved one to do the eulogy?
They can. I mean, but, you know, who would think someone would do their own husband or wife eulogy? Right. And because of the relationship that we had and the things that we discussed, it was no one else to do it but me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because of the relationship. And one of the things, let me even go back. You knew him.
Yes.
He was so comical. He was so real.
That's right.
And I mean, even during the transition in time, I recall the week that he wanted to transition. And he kept saying, come on, girl, you got to let me go. You got to let me go. And so my sister was like, sis, come on, you can't be selfish. Let him go. And I was like, okay. But in my heart, I really couldn't release him at that time. And so I was like, okay, babe, I am being selfish, you know, the tears going and stuff. I release you. So he looks at everybody and he, you know, he looking at everybody and, you know, he telling everyone he love them and stuff. And he was like, love you. And then
as if this is
it. And then he closed his eyes and see. Then he opened his eyes after a little while. He looked, he said, I'm still here. Why it's so hard to die? And I'm like, okay. And, you know, some people like, you know what, we can't do this with him. We're going downstairs.
Right.
But in that, it gave me so much comfort at the end, because when I really did release him, I truly seen someone transition. I seen somebody's body, be restored right in front of my face. And so for the eulogy, because I had went through these 2 years with him, it was easy for me because, number one, I didn't see my husband suffering no more. Number two, I knew this was what he wanted. It was no doubt about it. I knew that. So I had a peace. And so in that peace, I even shared with our kids. I said, look, you know what your dad wanted. You know what he was going through in his body. And now he's not suffering anymore. So we're not going to be out here screaming and hollering, doing all of that. We're going to rejoice because, number one, we know where he's at.
That sounds like your family was educated to a degree on this process. And it sounds like you guys were adult about the process, because it sounds like you guys had conversations about what is to come. Oh,
absolutely. Everybody, we did not, when you came in the house was peaceful.
That's right.
It was no screaming and hollering in that house. We didn't have that. We came in there, we would pray, we would play worship music, we would laugh, we would joke. You would have never known that he was in the state that he was in by coming in the house, because it was never a somber moment until we took him out of there.
Wow.
But the whole time, we enjoyed, because we made a decision that we was going to enjoy and cherish every member. We wasn't going to waste our time on maybe this or this. We didn't do that. We enjoyed every moment. We managed the moments that we had together.
Wow, that's good. So is that something that viewers can, that you would suggest to viewers? Make sure that they're having these conversations with their family members. And now you said you talk to your kids. You guys talk to your kids, but your kids aren't young.
They're adults, but we got grandkids.
Okay, so you guys had conversations with them as well?
My great nieces and nephews, they're little, but they were at the house all the time. My sister kids, her husband kids, they were at the house all the time. They had relationship with him. So we even had to explain to them, because even to this day, they still ask questions. My brother-in-law daughter, she would always say, that's your husband, but he my man. And not too long ago, she came, she said, Marcia, why Uncle Henry had to go to heaven?
Oh, wow. Right.
And this is a 4-year-old child. But when you explain it to them and you talk to kids, you have to let them have their process too. Because kids go to process too. It's not just for adults. It's for kids too, because they're there with them. They have relationships with them.
Sure.
And they have a process that they go through. I had one of my nephews. He was scared to go upstairs for a while.
Oh, wow.
And now, he sleep in the room and everything, but he was scared to go upstairs by himself. Now he goes upstairs by himself. So it was a process. You just can't go on upstairs. Ain't nobody up there. Sure. You can't do that. Yeah. You have to allow the process to work.
Wow. So that's good. And I'm certain that there are folks watching who have had experiences. So we're opening up the lines. The lines have been open. We encourage you to call in if you have any questions or any comments or something that you'd like to add to the conversation. Please call in at 240-719-2560. So, Marcia, then what exactly are you doing now as a result of your experiences with the transitioning, and actually what has led you to being on the show tonight?
Actually, because one of the things, my husband homegoing service, it was so many people that was there, and they were like in awe, like how in the world, like you said, she get up there and do that. And so since then, I've had some friends, some church members, people that I know, or family members that have loved ones that transition. And because how I continue to go through this process, they'll come to me and ask me, what do you do? How do you do this? And so now I share with them, and God has used it as a platform for me to go share with others on how to get through this, because even in sharing, I found out some people just are so stuck. It was one person, it had been 15 years, and they could not move out of that spot. And so I shared with them and talked to them to cause them to get out of that spot. Because it's okay to still remember them. You're never going to forget them. So you got to know how to balance it out.
Right.
You have to know, because I mean, eventually one day I might get remarried.
Oh. Okay.
I'm not looking for anybody, and don't be calling me about that.
We'll talk about that.
I know. But I'm just saying, Henry has been 36 years of my life.
Sure. Right.
I'll never forget him.
Right.
But I couldn't be married and be talking, well, Henry did this, Henry that, Henry that.
Right. Yeah, that's not fair to the...
That's not fair to the other person. But I intentionally live my life. So that's one avenue. I work out. And even in honor of my mother, one thing that I did for her one year, I did a 5K. That was my first thing that I did. And then for my husband, last year, I did a half marathon.
Right.
I would have never done those things. And I mean, I work out, live my life. I take care of me. I take care of me.
So by doing that, are you doing that to keep your mind active and off of those moments?
No, because even with me working out, one of the things my husband told me before he transitioned, he said, babe, I want you to take care of your health, because I didn't take care of mine.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so it was a lot of things, even during the preparation, he was preparing me. And so a lot of times when we talk, he would tell me different things to do, different things to prepare. And he always told me, I want you to enjoy your life. I want you to live your life. I don't want you to sit here and not. He actually told me if I would have went before him, he would have been married about 6-7 months after I was gone.
For real?
Oh, yeah, for real. I was like, dang. I said, well, I'm not going to get married that quick. But that's the conversations we had.
Right.
That's the conversations we had.
And that's that preparation.
That's that preparation. And a lot of times we don't prepare. And because we don't prepare, we fail when life events happen. Because again, life is going to happen. Things are going to happen. Some things we can be prepared for. But if you're always ready, then you're going to always be prepared no matter what may come. I don't care how tragic it may be or how hurtful or how painful, but if you have yourself prepared, if you have yourself set, then you can get through it.
Right. So how would that work then? And unfortunately, things happen, car accidents and just mishaps, and life just happens, and we lose people to situations like that. Is there a preparation that you can suggest for someone who may have suddenly lost transition?
Yeah, I would say with that, first of all, have a solid relationship with your family members, with your friends. Then you'll go back, you'll have no regrets. So whenever because see what happens, you look at homegoing services. You'll see people falling all over the casket crying because I wish I would have did this. I wish I would have did that. Yeah. But if you live your life intentionally and you love them while they're here, like you'll hear people say, don't give me my flowers when I'm gone. But you love me and appreciate me now. No matter what happened, you'll have no regrets. You'll hurt and you'll miss them, but you'll have no regrets. Right. And a lot of times people get stuck in that place because of the regrets. They let those regrets overtake them because it now became a burden, because now you wish you could have did this, or if I would have done that. Do it now while they're still alive, and then you'll have no regrets, and you can get through the process easier.
Mending those relationships.
Yes.
If I don't have a good relationship with my mom, and then she, we suddenly.
I wish I would have told her I loved her.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that's the stuff I know that people really get caught up in. Because I hear it all the time.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Interesting. So, wow. So now, with that being said, you are out speaking to. You mentioned that you're out speaking. You're having speaking engagements, and And
Yes.
you're talking to groups? Are you talking to who?
I talk to groups. I talk to individuals that may call me and talk to me. People may email me or text me, and I'll just share with them.
Okay.
I just share with them and tell them that you can get through this.
But it all seems to be centered around the relationship.
Yes, yes. And see, when you have, I got to go back to God. I do.
Right.
But when you have that relationship with God, God said he'll give you peace that surpasses your own understanding.
That's right.
That's what I live in.
Okay.
Everything, I probably couldn't explain everything to you, but I know I have the peace of God that rests on my life. So I don't have those, I have moments, like I said, but I manage those moments. They don't have me, and I move on. I'm never stuck. I have never, through this whole process, I have never been stuck. Never been stuck.
So if you're speaking to a group that, let's say obviously there may be some non-believers in the group.
Absolutely.
How would you consult them? Is there something that you would suggest for them?
I would tell them, share with them about the moments, and then get down to the root, because it's a reason why you're stuck. So let's get down to the root of that. Is it because you have regrets? Or is it because something that you did that may have happened before this incident happened? And now you can't move past that. And so you want to bring them back. They're not coming back.
Right.
And I mean, I'm not trying to sound insensitive or anything, but
Sure.
they're not coming back. So now you have to make a decision what you're going to do. My motto is enjoy life and cherish the memories. But the only way you can do that, to cherish a memory, you have to create them. So now you got to look at your life. What are you creating? Because what you create, it's going to show up in your life.
Right.
Whether it's good or bad. So now you have to change how you're living your life. What do you want? Do you want to stay in this state?
Right. You know, I was, shortly after I had gotten married in 1996, I had established a life insurance policy. And the first question that this agent asked me was if I knew my grandfather. I'm like, what are you asking me that for? Well, just answer the question. Did you know your grandfather? Actually, I didn't. And he said, well, why? I said, he passed before I was of age to know him. He said, well, it's not even so much that. It's because he didn't leave you anything. You know, and I immediately, because I'm thinking life insurance, I'm immediately thinking money.
Right.
But he's saying, no, it doesn't have to be money.
Yeah.
It could be pictures. It could be, you know, memories.
Yes.
It could be stories that your grandmother, who was married to him,
Yes.
could sit down and tell you, oh, me and, you know, my husband, we did this. So that, you know, I could have become, you know, not known him personally, however,
Yes.
but, you know, knew of him through relationships of others that he had. And that was actually a profound question to me in that statement, because, you know, it actually opened up my eyes to say, well, what am I going to do for my own kids? You know, I have to leave that legacy.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so my kids' who, if I transition before they, you know, get of a certain age, they will still know who I was.
Exactly.
And I think that kind of fits right into.
Yes, because I definitely, even in the state where he couldn't travel no more, I would create memories. So I think our last anniversary that he can actually go somewhere, and he couldn't fly anymore. So we went to Salamander. Well, I got a whole glam squad, makeup artist, hairstylist, photographer, had someone bake a cake, and we did the whole weekend and just created memories.
Oh, wow.
You know, took pictures, and I had books of those. You know, and so it was like you create those moments, like you say, to have the legacy and to show the kids. Even when he transitioned the Sunday before his birthday.
Oh, right.
His birthday was the following Saturday. He always wanted to go to New Orleans to the Mardi Gras. And so I said, well, you can't go. I'm going to bring the Mardi Gras to you. So I was having this big birthday party for him. But again, he transitioned before. But he told me, have the party, celebrate, because I'm going home. So we had the party. I took some things out because I wasn't celebrating like that because he wasn't here. But we celebrated him.
Right.
We celebrated him.
Wow, that's awesome. So what is it then that you would leave, because we've got a few more minutes before the show ends, what is it that you would leave with our audience to assist them in coping with the pain and the just the, you know, if someone is experiencing depressionable moments or moments of depression rather, what would you say to our audience?
To the audience, I would say, first, if you're in a deep depression state, go get some help. You know, a lot of times people feel like a therapist or something is not good. It is good.
That's good.
Go get some help because God don't want you in that state. And then if you're someone because of guilt, let that guilt go. Free yourself, let it go, and now begin to have your moments because it is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. Have your moments, but manage those moments. Don't allow those moments to overtake you and take you out of here. Begin to live and breathe again. And when you do that, you'll see it'll become easier and easier and easier. Just take one step at a time, but begin to move. As you move and go, you'll see things begin to be released out of your life, and you'll begin to become free. Because let me tell you something, you don't have to stay there. I'm enjoying my life. I have my laughing moments. I have my crying moments. I think about them often, but I'm enjoying my life because I know that's what they will want me to do.
And with that being said, that reminds me of a conversation that you had with a young lady.
Yes.
And she asked you a question.
Yes.
Can you share?
And let me tell you this, don't allow people to put you in a box. I had a person come to me and they said, can you really be that happy? Your husband haven't been gone a year and mine's been gone so many years and I can't get past this. Well, people can try to put you in a box. Don't allow them to put you in a box. Where you are, that's where you are. Where they are, that's where they are. It's no method to this. But one thing for sure, if you continue to go and grow, continue to allow yourself to be healed, you will be made free. And you can go on. So don't let family members, friends tell you, oh no, you need to be grieving. I never even used the word widow because to me that sounds so dead. I wouldn't allow people to tell me I'm a widow. No, my husband just transitioned. I'm nobody widow, period. And so in that, you have to allow what you allow in your life, and what you don't accept, you don't have to accept it.
That's good. Taking control.
Taking control of your life because it's your life. I have a new norm now. I was with my husband for 36 years. I took care of my mom. Now I'm there, just me. So I have a new norm. I have to adjust to this.
So what if there were, and I don't know, financial issues that maybe mom was left, you know, because that can also cause a remaining family member to have this stress and this strife as a result of that transitioning parent, let's say. Was that a situation for you in either case, mom or husband?
Well, with that,
and I don't want to get too far into.
Yeah, with our mom, it was, but we took care of it.
Right. Okay.
Because she thought she was paying one thing, insurance, and she was paying for a house that we had already sold.
Oh, wow.
So with her, we had to come up with the money to bury her. With my husband, no situation at all.
Wonderful. Because I know that can also add, kind of tumultuous or turmoil between family members.
And we got to get our business in order. This day is going to come.
Right.
It's going to come.
This is that
and so
preparation
we
that you
have
talked
to be
about.
prepared. Like me, I have all my stuff prepared, written out in the book. They know where it's at, and we take care. It's taken care of. They don't have to do nothing but pick the book up and do what it tell them to do. Period.
Right. Okay. So it sounds like that a couple of key words is preparation,
Yes.
relationship are pivotal to
Absolutely.
being prepared and being able to endure and get through those moments when transition hits home.
Yes. Yes.
And how about just talking to someone lending? Was there ever a moment where let's say you called your sister and she just lent her ear, her shoulder for you to just, talk it out, or, when you were having moments?
Yes. It's always good to have someone that you can talk to and be real with. Not, trying to hold this facade like I'm strong in this. I mean, if you got a boo-hoo, if you got to cry, you got to snot, have that person there. Well, I had a core of people that was there.
Good.
And I mean, they let me do whatever I needed to do to get, through. And it was never oh, Lord, that's Minister Marcia. Oh, no, I ain't never seen her like that. You need that. You need that. And I mean, some things you'll be alone, because like I said, I had some moments where I was alone, but then there was some moments I need to be with people. And even now, I have, my sister and some friends that even if I'm like tired of being in the house by myself, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
I'll just go over there. They already know. They don't even have to say a word.
Right.
I don't have to say a word, but they
That's
know.
wonderful. That's wonderful. Wow, that's awesome. So that's going to wrap it up for us tonight. I pray that you all received something. You guys heard something. We didn't get any phone calls, so I'm only going to assume that you guys heard an answer for yourselves. It's these conversations that I think we need to have, especially in the black community, because it's far too often that families are having rent parties and they're having parties in order to raise money to be able to bury grandma and things like that. But preparation, as Minister Marcia said on the front end, being prepared can alleviate a lot of those opportunities and a lot of those situations. So I encourage you all to just do just that. Be prepared. Even when it comes down to you being prepared for when you transition, not necessarily your mom, but even for your own sake, your own household and your own your kids and things like that. Just let's be prepared. So with that being said, we're going to wrap it up. I thank you for coming out. It was a great hour spent with you.
Yes.
And next week, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about mental health. There are a lot of things going on around this country that I firmly believe are not being addressed properly, because I think it has a lot to do with the mental state and the mental capacity of a lot of the individuals who are walking around out here. So next week I'm going to have a mental health professional on, and we're going to get right down into some stuff. So please tune in next week to In the End We Win with Curtis. I am your host, Curtis Austin, and I appreciate you tuning in. See you later.
Bye.